Heading into the third day of our 4-day league, we were joined by a few more drivers as Alex Stuff qualified an impressive 1.5 seconds ahead of the Mercedes. I had a lot on my mind, anticipating incidents that I'd be reviewing the next day, and let myself get distracted, accidentally slowing down a little too early for turn 1. Alex seemed to be far more focused and ran away with the lead after that strong qualifying lap, even winning that short race despite having an automatic penalty, with yours truly in second and Darrow 5G in the McLaren in third. Alex had taken the fastest lap, and RF had recovered to 4th from last on the grid. I had a lot of experience over the years at Spa, and I was pretty close to pole position alongside Alex, although being on the front row can sometimes backfire, as you're in the firing line and might get shunted, but obviously you want to start ahead and hope that you can run away with the lead. The start was a bit messy, and it was just one of those moments I'd sort out afterwards, so you just focus on doing the best you can in the moment. I believe it was TJD in the lead after turn 1, with a few cars having trouble going up the hill, and at the back there was a dramatic crash for Naples in the Ferrari. I always say this, but it would be good to have full race replays, then we could clearly see everything that happened on that first lap. Alex made a run against TJD trying to retake the lead, but TJD remained ahead, although his car ran wide a couple of corners later, so it was Alex back in the lead. I had recovered some positions, no doubt helped by the fact that I had the fastest car and had a decent setup. By the end I was close to a podium result, and TJD had held on to second, but unfortunately he had an automatic penalty, so it was Alex winning with the fastest lap, RF second, and yours truly third. At Monza I was almost on the front row again, but it was RF joining Alex this time. As far as I was concerned, I was just minding my own business on the left, but as we got to turn 1 my car wouldn't turn into the corner. We had ended up 3 wide and there wasn't space for all of us, so myself and RF had taken the escape road, although initially I didn't realise he was there with me. I went slowly to avoid an automatic penalty when rejoining the track, and lost a fair amount of time, almost collecting the cars behind as I got back on the power. RF's recording showed that he got sandwiched, unfortunately bringing Alex's car into contact with mine, and he had just got back onto track a moment too early as he got an automatic penalty, although I'd remove penalties like that because he did slow down to let Alex through, even if the game forced him to do it. Alex had also recorded that start and lost some time, with TJD going through to take the lead, and some awkward contact with Binotto's car, which fortunately didn't cause a crash. Alex was back up to second before long, and chasing TJD to get the lead back. And it wasn't long before TJD's car was out of shape, so Alex must have been relieved to get back in front after the start drama. Further back I felt like my car wasn't given much space going side by side with the McLaren of Darrow. And then Binotto's car was off track. A lap later RF's car had a moment on the grass, and then I had another look at passing Darrow, and I was a little bit annoyed because the car kept stepping out under power, slamming itself into the wall at this point, significantly damaging the front wing. Starting the final lap I was side by side with Limbo, and I committed to the corner, which unfortunately resulted in his car spinning. It was a pretty awkward race, which Alex had won with the fastest lap, TJD took his first podium in second, and Villy took third. Villy had a good lap in qualifying for Singapore, with Alex a couple of tenths behind the McLaren in second. Despite the risk of there being a bad incident, as it was a 3-lap race on a street circuit, the start was safe. I felt that Matty's car had forced mine out of the way, but he was clean as I looked to retake 4th. Ahead there was a blue front wing end plate on the track, so I assume it fell off the McLaren of Villy, while RF was in second and Alex was leading the race. Alex took the fastest lap again and won ahead of RF, while Villy had an automatic penalty, so it was yours truly in third. For round 17 it was Alex and myself on the front row. What ended up happening at turn 1 was a bit of a drama. Alex's car had moved over to the right, I assumed to defend his lead, but I wasn't expecting it, as it's something that only really happens in this league between drivers that have an understanding with each other. So I was a bit distracted by that, and on Darrow's client I was ghosted at the apex, maybe because my car was so slow at that point from having a bad angle into the corner, and he tried to drive through my car, but it actually pushed mine into the wall. Afterwards I clarified the rules about these kind of things, because it's a friendly league, so there's no need to go full force and risk incidents like that. Partly it was a glitch that ghosted my car, which was not actually ghosted, but if I'm racing someone for track position and they appear ghosted without being in an incident, I think it would be unfair if I tried to drive through them, because we're there to respect each other's car on track, otherwise we'd just do time trial competitions. And certainly now that we know about this ghosting issue, because that's where this league came from, and this was written into the rules, as it was designed to be careful about similar glitches like lag shunting, when other leagues, at least at the time, were negligent about glitches, if not allowing them to be abused outright. So with that accountability in mind, Darrow's result was disqualified. Alex won with the fastest lap, RF was second, and Billy was third. Heading into day 4, I was feeling tense because of the number of incidents, but I think it would be normal to have a lot of incidents after you've just done 17 races. Alex was on the front row alongside RF, while usually I was consistent in one-shot quali, but I spun on the exit of the last corner. Alex led out of turn 1, and I felt like I could overtake a couple of cars before the end, but the cars ahead defended well, and I didn't want to set a bad example by risking a dive. I ended up being overtaken by Keg, who was recovering from a bad qualifying session. I felt like I was having bad luck with the ghosting in this season, as earlier my car was ghosted when it probably shouldn't have been, and then other cars that probably should have been ghosted were not. So when Darrow's car got sideways, I collided with it as it didn't ghost, and that was a bit unfortunate. I've got decent experience at Suzuka, so a podium was definitely a realistic goal, but that spinning qualifying really set me back. We had the same race result again, with Alex winning with the fastest lap, RF second and Billy third. I was fairly close to pole position for round 19, less than a tenth behind Vili. Behind us, RF was looking for a way through, and behind him the cars were 4 wide, and I think Alex was a bit impatient taking the inside, as he tried to recover from a disqualification in qualifying. Keg was struck from behind by Alex's car, which was a bit of a shame, because while it was a 3-lap race and there's not much time to get to the front, Alex already had 14 wins, and probably had the championship in the bag, so could have afforded to pace himself. I lost a position to RF, and Billy ahead of him just held on to first despite an automatic penalty, taking his second win. I was happy to be back on the podium again after my recent incidents, and Alex had taken the fastest lap. Billy was doing well on that last day, as again we were on the front row together. I found myself in a McLaren sandwich, and Keg got taken out at the first lap, which happened to him for a large ratio of the races that he entered that season, so bad luck for him. On lap 2 I had contact with Alex's car, leading to a spin, but Alex was a gentleman and slowed down. We continued racing each other after he let me pass, and he did get through cleanly, and also took the fastest lap. Billy took his third win, again ahead of RF, and it was the only race where both McLarens were on the podium, as Darrow was third. Would you believe it, again it was Billy and myself on the front row, and here I had an advantage because Brazil is one of those old tracks that was in a lot of the old racing games I used to play, so I had a lot of experience with it. Billy starting on pole had led through the opening corners ahead of myself and RF, while there was some drama at the back. I think that experience helped me, as I was very comfortable feeling in tune with the car on the track, and got alongside Billy, taking the lead of the race, and somehow winning it, despite Billy getting the fastest lap in second, while RF took third. I was very happy winning that race, and have a lot of respect for Billy being a clean and fast driver. For our final round, Alex was back on form, taking pole position, and was alongside Billy in second. They remained first and second after the start, while I was in third, and was desperately trying to stay ahead of RF. Despite him being in the Williams, he was still very quick, and I had no room for mistakes if I wanted to stay in front. In the battle for 7th, Keg made an opportunistic move, as Jason and Matty were side by side. Alex won that final race, taking the fastest lap, with Billy on the podium in every race of that last day, and myself in third. Taking a look at our top 10, Alex had of course won the championship, doing it convincingly with 15 wins and 18 fastest laps. RF was in a strong second, finishing in the top 2 14 times, in a car that probably shouldn't have even been on the podium. In third it was yours truly, and while I didn't get the results I was aiming for in the Mercedes, I gave it a try and was fairly consistent, making sure to get my one-shot qualifying laps in, and at least got a fair number of podiums. In 4th and 5th were the McLarens of Billy and Darrow, and we didn't have enough drivers to flesh out the team standings, but they did well, especially with Billy at the end, being in the top 2 for all those last 4 races, and they have both taken race wins. Jason drove the Renault, and I think he was just a bit unfortunate not to get a podium, having good attendance and consistency, finishing 4th several times. Matty was 7th with the AlphaTauri, having finished all but one of the races, just ahead of Binotto in 8th taking a podium in the Haas. Keg was 9th and had a good pace in the Ferrari, but wasn't able to join all of the races. Limbo in the other Haas was 10th, and no doubt would have had better results in a faster car if we did this again, but he stuck with the Haas for every race of that season, so respect for that. Thanks for everyone that joined, thanks to you for watching. It was a memorable few days, and I don't know about the other guys, but I'd love to do it again sometime, trying a different car.